Welcome back to B3 MTB Podcast, where we talk about bikes, bruises, and beverages with your host, Tally Hall.
And John Earl. We're just your average dudes talking about our mountain bike adventures. And we're at episode 15.
Yeah. The big 1-5.
Big 1-5, as some would say.
Quinceañera. It's not.
Threw me through a loop on that one.
That was not planned. Oh, that was fun.
It's been a while. We both apologize. Life has gotten in the way. I feel like we're saying this more and more, but
It's true.
life.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, I feel like our casts a lot of times are dictated around riding, and up until this last week, it's been so dry. I've tried to ride a couple times, and it's just been it's like we're going to the beach on a mountain bike.
Almost not fun.
Yeah, we went to Alafaya maybe 3 weeks ago, Eric and I, and roller coaster, like one of our favorite, just kind of blue trails warm-up run was almost had to walk the half a mile to get into kind of that snake ramp jump area.
Yeah.
But they've redone a lot of stuff. They've made it really good, but
Snake ramp jump area?
yeah, it's like the entry into either a tabletop or a gap jump. And on that ramp is they painted a snake. I don't know what it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
So
Don't know what it's called either.
in
Wish
my-
I didn't call you out on that. I have no follow-up on it.
in the old Hall household, it's the snake ramp jump area,
Jump area.
right before
I know
derailed.
exactly where that's at.
So yeah, we haven't been casting a lot. I did have quite an epic weekend, a race weekend with Erica. So that was amazing. I'm super excited to talk about it.
I am too, because I haven't had a serious ride with my new bike yet, and I've been itching. But like you said, conditions have been kind of poor
Yeah,
for
terrible.
riding here in Central Florida. I mean, I'm sure it's an excuse. Someone else listening to this will be like, I ride every day. But
Well, we've gotten some rain, so hopefully we ride soon, and the ride is better conditions.
yeah,
Before we get into riding, my parents, a while ago now, I forget when they got back, but it's been a while. They brought back beer for us to try from Turks and Caicos. So Turk's Head Brewery. And let me read, it's just a light beer. All right, let me see what they say. Here's the back of the can. Island time is taken pretty seriously around here in the Turks and Caicos. While the rest of the world rushes from one thing to another, we have learned the value of taking the scenic route. It often takes a bit longer, but that's usually just the start to a good story. So next time someone tells you that they soon reach, they could be right around the corner or just setting sail from Salt City or Salt Cay. Oh my goodness. Setting sail from Salt Cay en route to Grand Turk. I don't know what that means. Be prepared for a tale when they finally get there. Question, buddy, where are you? Answer, just down the road. I soon reach. So this is I soon reach beer from Turks and Caicos.
yeah, I don't get the I soon reach. Turk's Head Brewery, I soon reach light. I don't get it. I'm sure it has something to do with the brewery where they're at, and
Just
one of those geographical jokes. You have to be there to get it. You know what I mean?
or just in my driveway, like trying to figure it out. And I'll be drinking from. Have you seen these a lot? These are like aluminum beer drinking cans.
So
Very.
no, I have. I have seen it, but I just never really thought about it. And it's actually really cool.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, I got to get some. So this is from the bike shop Squatch Bikes and Brews in Brevard, North Carolina, and I want to talk about Brevard, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Once I got there, and we're gonna get there, but once I got there, I started referring to it as my hometown. I've never been there before, but
It's awesome.
You have.
Yeah, when 2 Christmases ago, we stayed in Hendersonville, which is just
Yeah.
south of.
Yeah.
We're in a mountain cabin up there, and we went to Brevard like every day. It is awesome.
I started referring to it as my hometown. I've never been there. Something would happen and be like, yeah, it's different than where I grew up in Brevard. And it just became the weekend joke because I fell in love with the place. So anyway, thank you, Squatch, for, I guess, selling me a cup at full price.
That's funny. All right, so we have that. You got me one. I appreciate that. I brought you
It's a light beer. It's pretty standard stuff.
pretty standard.
Yeah,
Okay.
drink that at barbecues.
All right. An everyday drinker.
An everyday drinker for sure.
I soon will reach for my 10th light beer.
Yeah.
My drink of choice today, and I brought you one, is a seltzer. I went golfing with one of my buddies one day, and he was like, "Did you bring a drink?" I was like, "No, I wasn't really planning on drinking today." He was like, "Here, try one of these."
I thought you said you were golfing.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to get my score down, dude. All right, I'm focusing. Try one of these. It's a seltzer. It's Happy Dad. If you're watching on YouTube, Happy Dad. If you haven't seen them yet, they're at Publix. I'm sure they're elsewhere. Pick them up. They're so good, and it makes you feel like more of a man drinking a seltzer because it's like a cool retro can, you know?
Yes, it's like a can from maybe the 90s, and it's a real size beer can where most seltzers are.
Yeah, like
the
skinny, like
can. I've never liked the skinny can.
no, short and fat. I like that. But we got two flavors here. I got pineapple, and I gave you the wild
Give me
cherry.
wild cherry. Which
Wild cherry is like
the
any
standard.
seltzer and a wild cherry is so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Pineapple's good. They're all good. If you haven't tried them, it's kind of like a watered down seltzer, so it's not super fruity. It almost makes you feel like more of a man,
Nice.
but they're so good.
Isn't there one guy on Instagram that always is like sponsored by Happy Dad?
Oh, you mean B3MTB?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
Maybe after this one.
Not yet. Okay.
I thought I saw this on the Instagram, so I'm very excited to try it out. I
Have
won't
not.
open it yet.
Yeah, I'm going to save that one too. I'm going to go for this one here.
The beer is very drinkable, but I'm very excited about Happy Dad. I've known about it for a little bit. So, race weekend. This is a downhill race put on by Downhill Southeast. Nico Malali, I don't know how to say his name, but I think that's it. He was one of the guys that started Canuga. He started Ride Rock Creek, which is where the venue is, one of the places we're going next month. Professional downhill racer, very, very famous, and started Downhill Southeast. Seems like a super awesome guy. Talked to him, met him, very down to earth. Currently has a broken hip, so not all glitz and glam in the old downhill bike racing.
I'm assuming mountain bike racing.
Yeah, I think he did it at Winrock, which is in Tennessee, just outside of Knoxville. But that's unconfirmed. I don't know. That's what someone said while we were going up the shuttle. Like, you would see him, and people would be like, "Oh, there's Nico's," and someone made the comment like, "We're like in a safari, and we're looking at professional downhill racers," which was really cool. We saw some people that I've saw on the Red Bull show. Have you ever seen any of the Red Bull series that covers biking?
No, I mean, I'm sure I have, but
Yeah, they had a downhill series that covered the World Cup races. Actually, a really good production, like 10-minute episodes called Fast Life. And some of the main stars on that show were there at the race. So it was really cool for Eric and I were like, oh my gosh, we've watched them on the TV show for a couple years. Anyway,
those guys are on TV.
yeah, I started fangirling so hard. There was this Canadian girl, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a girl!" And it was accepted. We both kind of fangirled about it, but don't worry about that. So the drive up, yeah, we left Friday morning. Did one of those like 4 o'clock in the morning. We're out of here. Usually, I'm pretty good driving. As soon as we crossed into Georgia, going up to North Carolina, I was like, Erica, let's switch. Like, I'm super tired. So for whatever reason, I struggled. Erica did most of the driving on the way out there.
Selfish of you.
So
I just want to be really fresh when we get there.
right. As soon as I only drove that long because I knew she would crush most of the state crossing, like state lines. And I was like, I can't let her do every state line cross. So as soon as we hit Georgia, the first gas station I pulled over, I was like, let's switch. And I was asleep within 2 minutes of starting to drive. I woke up and I was like, all right, almost in South Carolina. But because of how everything, our schedule was super tight the whole time. So instead of going to our campsite first, which I'll talk about, we went straight to Ride Rock Creek. Friday for 5 hours, they let everyone get practice runs in. And there's 2 racetracks. There's the Pro and Category 1, which are elite riders. And then there's the rest of us. And it was super wet Friday. So we get there. It's raining. We brought the dogs. We brought our tiny camper, our little square drop trailer. And so we're out of our car from an 8-hour trip straight into the mountain. I haven't been riding a lot. It is super wet. I have no confidence.
It's real rocky, chunky too, right?
It can be, but no, the course that they had us on was very flowy, not a lot of chunk. The rock garden that they had the Category 2, Category 3 riders, that was us, was almost like a boulder that you rode onto and then down from. So it wasn't like a traditional rock garden that you would have a lot of chatter on your bike. It was, remember when I talked about ski biking and like your feet would be out and the back tire, the back ski was like,
because it was muddy?
Yes. Yeah. It was like that. Half the turns I was putting a foot down to have balance because I was expecting my bike to come out from under me. And everyone was dealing with it. Everyone's bike was just caked in this like peanut butter mud. It was pretty tough riding. So there were a lot of kind of like either jumps or doubles that I didn't even try to hit because just the conditions weren't right, and I hadn't been riding enough to really chance anything. And we did 3 runs that first day, and by the 3rd run, I was like getting pretty comfortable with where we're slipping, where we're sliding, and I had one of the worst falls. Like, I got crushed. So there was a road gap at the very bottom. It's like a road gap, and then that goes into a berm, another berm, and then there's this huge like step-up jump that even amongst the pro riders, there's probably only 4 of the pros that were able to clear the thing. Huh. And like one of the pro riders was Aaron Gwynn, which is, you know anything about downhill, they call him the Michael Jordan of downhill. He's kind of at the tail end of his career. But I don't know, that's not a great comparison because there's so many other riders that challenged him, but he went for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of just being the dominant athlete in the sport. And he was that guy's one of the ones that can clear it, and maybe, again, only a couple others could. So there was a ride around for that big jump as well. So on the 3rd, on like our first run, I tried to go around, did the ride around for that big jump. Well, the ride around was like loose, that peanut butter mud. So I got off my bike, I went to step off, and immediately fell down because the dirt was so bad. It was so wet. I barely was able to even climb up. Like, we're both just slipping and falling. I'm totally like soaked in mud. So we had to hit that way faster the next time. But again, by the 3rd run, I'm feeling pretty good with how I'm slipping and sliding, and I'm good. Well, that road gap, the ride around is to the right. If you take that inside ride around line, that sets you up for putting your front tire in the gap. And it's an immediate, so that's what I did. I went in, my front tire, I came around like over the ride around, so it's kind of blind, and my front tire just essentially pigeonholed down into this gap, like rut. So I fell with my front tire, and it just gets stuck in the mud. So my chest, I use my chest protector because my chest slams against the front handlebars. Fully compress my front forks, which throws me past my bike. I probably traveled, by the time I land and slid, like 10 feet. I land on my back, and I just have this feeling like something bad is going to happen. Yeah, it's my bike falling from the sky. Because as I went forward, my bike went up and landed on my face. And I'm wearing a full face helmet. So I use my chest protector by slamming into the handlebars, my back protector, because I landed on my back, and then my full face helmet, which took most of the fall, like, or the bike falling on my face. But I don't know what it was. It was the seat or the handlebars or something. Dude, it went straight into my face. And there's people watching because this is kind of one of the dangerous areas. So they have like 4 observers and a medic right there. And they're like, dude, are you okay? I looked at him and said, I have all my teeth. Like that was the first thing I could think of, because I was feeling like making sure that I have everything. I can't feel, like, my lips and nose are numb at this point. So I don't really have a lot of feeling. I'm using like my tongue and like fingers to figure out like how bad my face is. They're like, hey, watch out. There's another rider coming down. Well, it's Erica. So she's coming down, and I was like, don't worry, it's my wife. And I'm like waving her on to go. So she goes past me. She's trying to get used to her run. She's trying to get speed, because we've already talked about, if you slow down at this time, you're not getting up the either ride around or the jump. So I'm waving her through, and so she goes. She doesn't really know that I had a bad fall at all. And we get to the bottom. She was like, oh, that was a pretty good run for me. And I just looked at her and I'm like, do I have all my teeth? That's
the only thing you care about.
Because I think I do. Like my fingers feel that I have my teeth. But my face is still numb, and my face still kind of hurts. So that, not only have I had no confidence coming in, it's wet. On my third and final practice run on Friday, I have a pretty serious wipeout. Confidence is low, but I don't care. Like, I'm having fun. I'm super excited. It's like the first day of the trip, so that's the day that I want to have a bad fall and not really be injured. It was wild. Saturday was supposed to be dry, and Sunday was supposed to be raining at 10 to noon, and that was about the time I was going to be racing. So mentally, very conservative. I knew this is what the course is probably going to be like, and so I'd planned my race run around a wet, sloppy course and me not taking any risks. So we pack up. It's just a mess. We drive to our camp spot, and we used a website called Hip Camp. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Essentially, if you have 10 acres or 4 acres, whatever it is, you have a piece of property, you level off a piece of your property, make a tent site or an RV site. Typically, they don't have electricity. They have usually a porta potty, but it's just a spot on their property that you can stay, you can tent, you can RV, you can do whatever you want. Some of these options are amazing. We had the choice to go to a 30-acre pig farm in Hendersonville, around that area, on mountains, and these views were amazing, but they weren't close to Asheville, and we haven't been to Asheville, so we wanted to experience the city. So there's amazing places on Hip Camp that we decided not to go. The campground we went to was 6 minutes away from the outskirts of downtown Asheville. But I was like, this is a hidden gem. They said it's private, it's secluded. We're just going to be like somewhere in the woods, and then we'll come out of the woods and we'll be downtown. We can experience everything. So we drive, and they don't give you the address first. So you can't like Google map where you're going to go. It's just a general location.
You weren't downtown?
We were close to downtown. They were right. We were 6 minutes away from. They said 6 minutes, but like the heart of downtown, it was 12 minutes. So they were 100%. They didn't lie about that. Their private secluded spot was maybe 40 yards away from their 2-story house. So we're in our tiny camper. They're a little bit further uphill and have a 2-story house. So they're just like looking down on us the whole time.
Just watching people. That's good security.
Yeah. Awesome.
Smart on their part.
Then on the other side, there's some woods. And then at the end of the woods, which go for maybe 150 yards, you can see apartments on the other side. So there's no privacy. There's no seclusion, which was not what we were expecting. And then we got a generator for the trip, just in case it was hot. We want to run our AC. They said they had an outlet from their house, but if you're gonna start running a lot of stuff and AC, cooking stuff, I wasn't gonna rely on just one little outlet to do. We were gonna, we would just overload the breaker. So we have a generator. It's rated at like 58 or 60 decibels. So it's a quiet little inverter. It's a big inverter, but still pretty quiet. We ran that the first day just to get the air circulating in there. We haven't used it in a while. We go out to this brewery, which we'll talk about that. As we're drinking our first drink, I get a message through the app. Hey, can you please turn your generator off? It's extremely loud. Like it's the noise level of like an outside conversation, and it's not that loud. So that was kind of frustrating that we couldn't really run our generator.
You should have responded back. I'm sorry, our secluded campsite.
I was like,
shouldn't be able to hear anything.
I didn't really want to stir the pot. So, and I knew it was going to be, we would just need the fan. So we wouldn't use the AC, wouldn't overload the circuit. But again, that was probably the most disappointing part of the trip, is having high expectations on where we're staying. But we're only paying $40 a day. And state parks lately have been for us really hard to find availability and stuff like that. So it's a really good option. We're excited about using it again. We're just going to be maybe a little bit smarter with, I don't know, our decisions and what we look for. So the first brewery we go to is the Cursed Kimi. No idea how to say it. I think that's it though. It was recommended by our host, and it said something about antiquities and modern life come together. And I'm not smart enough to know what antiquities is. No. Yeah, I'm thinking antiques. Like, so it's going to be like a 1900s, I don't know, like themed brewery. We get there, and the website is very simple. So it doesn't really go into detail. It doesn't show pictures. We get there, it's a fence. It's like a chain link fence that's a quarter of the way open. So we're going through like a parking lot. There's another brewery. There's like a gas and pipe. There's a gas and pipe welding something. So it's like kind of industrial, but kind of hip. There's a pizza food court thing, or a food truck thing. And then there's this chain link fence that's opened a quarter of the way and like a small sign that says Cursed Kimi. And I'm like, this is super shady. It's dark. It's not well lit. Uh-huh. This is not good. There's like overgrown ivy on the fence. Not ivy, like just weird plants that are, I'm like, I don't have a bad feeling about this. Or I don't have a good feeling about this.
Right.
And then it hits me. I'm like, you know what? We're on an adventure. Let's go on this adventure. So I park and realize antiquities is like almost like that ancient Egypt where you're like, it's overgrown because you're like almost discovering this like ancient artifact.
So I just looked it up. The difference between antique is an item at least 100 years old. Antiquity is an ancient artifact or items dating from Middle Ages.
Yeah, so didn't know that. Okay, it didn't have very good cell reception. I didn't Google it.
So you went to a Middle Age brewery.
Yeah, but because we got there and on the wall there's like hieroglyphics and old, themed old like barrels and like brass and very, very dated stuff, almost like but it had like a modern touch. So there's like fern plants everywhere. It was really cool. But driving there, not knowing that, and it's just some chain link fence that's opened like a quarter of the way, overgrown and dark. I was like, I would not go here unless I was feeling really adventurous.
They really leaned into it.
Yeah, it ended up being cool. We had steamed beer. Have you ever heard of steamed beer?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. And we were like, what's steamed beer? They said it was like a way of making beer that was from like the late 1800s, mid to late 1800s, early 1900s, all barley. And I didn't understand any of it, but I obviously wanted to try it. It was good. It was like one of those beers you get like one of and enjoy it. But you definitely I got the IPA.
Yeah.
I need the IPA next. So that was cool. We walk over to that pizza truck, the food truck. Turns out that guy had moved from Sanford and Lake Mary to Asheville. And we talked to him for probably 30 minutes while
he's probably just crushing it too.
He made it sound like he was making more money in Lake Mary. He had a really good spot.
Oh, really?
And he's like, but I love living here. I love living here.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, Asheville is very hipstery. And
It's not a perfect city. I wouldn't. Yeah.
But
it's not a city that I think I would want to live in. That's Brevard, my hometown of Brevard, North Carolina. But it was most breweries per capita in the U.S. Amazing. So 900 Degree Pizza was the place. We had it before when we used to live in Lake Mary, and it was kind of small world type of thing. And it was perfect. We had a pretty early night, thinking that we'd wake up early. No, we ended up sleeping like 10 hours in the trailer. It was awesome. So every morning was kind of a lazy morning. But the next morning, we wanted to go to Black Mountain. So we wanted to do some trail riding. We had a set time from like 2 to 4:30. We could ride the race course and get some practice laps in.
is that trail ride further away from the race spot, or?
It wasn't further away. It just wasn't in the same direction. So it was 45 minutes from our camp to Black Mountain, and then another 45 minutes of like backcountry roads. Like
To the other spot.
Yeah, to the other spot. So Black Mountain's in Brevard in the Pisgah Forest. First time riding Pisgah trails. Bro, we are going to have such a good time. Lower Black Mountain, that climb took 35 minutes. And then it took us like 15 minutes, but there was a waterfall, so we wanted to do like a cool waterfall photo. So that took 5 minutes for us to do that. Remember Mountain Town, how it's just fast, downhill, flowy, and the whoop-de-woos? It was all of that. And I've talked to people, and they're like, that's all Black Mountain.
Dude, I've been watching so much Pisgah riding on YouTube. I'm so excited.
It's whoop-de-woos, and then these like super high up wall rides. So there's no berms. You're just riding up. You either do a flat turn or you get gnarly, and you ride up the face of the far side of the trail.
Ride up, or
oh my gosh,
ride up the far side, or you can even do like a little hip and come down.
Yes, yeah, lots of little
things that you see after you've been riding for a little while, and you
Yes.
realize like I can do this and not have to just stick to the trail. I'm so excited for it.
So many little jumps from here to there and landing, and oh my gosh, it was a blast. We were leaving thinking we need more time, because that was just over a 2 mile climb, and upper Black Mountain is like a 7 to 8 mile climb. The last mile being a hike-a-bike. because it's so steep to get up there. It was awesome. So we wish we would have had more time there. And we didn't just want to ride. We also wanted to kind of experience the city. So we go from there. I'm like, I want a beer at this place we saw called The Hub. And they made it seem like kind of a cool bike shop. They made it seem like adrenaline, like bike shop. So that was super exciting for us. But this place was like the coolest place I've ever seen. This bike shop was
just on another level.
Another level. The outside seating area had, I don't know, it was like a whole restaurant, but it was just, they had food trucks outside. They had a couple food trucks outside. They had an amazing beer selection. It was a 2-story bike shop with all this gear. They had, I mean, I'm wearing their shirt right now. Dude, it was like paradise. And the parking lot, there's at least 100 cars there, and all the cars had mountain bikes on them. And if you're not into mountain biking, across the street had a fly fishing outfitter store that was a smaller version of what that place was. It was amazing. So we have a drink, we hang out for a little while, walk around, get some merch. So once we were there for a little bit, we saw a sign called Squatch Bikes and Brews, which has a picture of a Sasquatch on it. And I was like, well, I want merch from there too. So we drive 10 minutes to go to that bike shop. That bike shop was pretty small. It wasn't anything special. It was like a cool, smaller bike shop, which I wish I would have gone there first, because I would have been like, oh, this is amazing, super cool people. And then you would have gone to Hub and realized this is like, honestly, it's just a different level. And Brevard was a very small town, like you're aware of. Oh my gosh, it was just amazing.
It is really nice. And then like the center of Brevard, the brewery, the bike shops, the coffee shops, and then like you go right through that intersection and you're going up the mountain.
Yeah.
And you can there's so many spots you always see cars just pulled over, right? You can get into trails, hiking trails. I mean, it's
mountain biking,
it's
fly
all,
fishing.
Boom, right there at your fingertips.
It's amazing.
You just go right up the road, boom, drop yourself off. Hey, when you went to Asheville, did you go to Industry 9 or no?
No, bro. I barely had time to do anything. Like, we went there, we ate. We overate. We got so full. We're gonna go hit some breweries. I went to Asheville Brewing Company, which was amazing. I had one beer, and I felt like throwing up because I still was I was so full.
We're going to have so much to do.
Oh, my gosh. So we have that. But Asheville Brewing Company really was one of the coolest breweries I've been to. Perfect Day IPA. Tasted as full as I was. I'm ready to throw up because I'm so stuffed we had a place called Salsa, and we had this steak empanada. I'm like, bro, I had a lot of it. And you know when you're full, like nothing really tastes good? This IPA was still delicious. I was like, how amazing is it that I don't want to sip anything out. Like, I don't want to eat or consume anything. And it was so good.
So that was your second day?
Yeah, well, we
After
still had
trail.
Yeah, so we did Lower Black, and then we went and did 2 practice laps on the trail. But
how are those second practice laps?
That Saturday, it dried out.
Did it dry out? Yeah.
It dried out, and it was so good. It went from being so nasty to like sticky. So you were like gripping everything.
Did you hit the road gap at all? Did you hit it?
No. And here's why.
I'm not judging you.
It was the road gap in ideal conditions is within my skill set. It's similar to Down and Dusty at Jared's place, that first wood kind of like ramp jump that we did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
it kind of pushes you out there.
Yeah, you just ride off of it, and if you have the right speed, it carries you through it, and it's not very challenging. as long as you're comfortable with going off that feature. And so I think in ideal conditions, I would not have had an issue doing it. Same skill level as what we did. So well within our capabilities. But the first day was wet, so I definitely wasn't going to do it. And I was expecting the race to be just as wet as Friday. So I didn't want to
Right. Change your lines.
change lines, change mindset. And it was busy. They one of their trucks went down. So they were using school buses with trailers, and we were waiting quite a long time. We knew that this is our one night to go to Asheville and walk around. So we weren't going to wait there for a long time getting reps in when it's like we don't really doing well in the race isn't as important as getting the experience. So we only get two reps in, and Erica takes a pretty nasty spill in the her last one. Where I'm down at the finish line. We do the trail, we start together, but we're doing it separately. Like mentally, like she's getting her rep in, I'm getting my rep in. I go down, get to the bottom first, and I'm waiting like a couple minutes. And she's usually like right behind me. She was riding really well all weekend. So I start hiking back up the trail. Like I am now worried about her. And she's like, "You shouldn't be worried. I'm fine. I would have called you if something was serious." I was like, "Not if you're knocked out. Like
Right.
I don't know that you didn't go off the trail. Like it's a downhill course. Like there was lots of places to have bad falls, and you're just kind of like controlled chaosing your way down the trail." So there was a feature that there was 4 rollers, so you could double them and then roll. The really good riders would triple it and then roll. I don't think anyone tried to quad them. Like it would have been, I don't know how you would have gotten the speed, but of course, people can do it, And I think she just got off track because there was like one track, so she came around faster. She was feeling good, and just went off track, and I forget how exactly it happened, but her Garmin on her front handlebars shattered. Her seat post lever sheared off, like the screw was like sheared off, so it was just dangling. The shop on the mountain ended up fixing it for like $12, which I thought was pretty sick. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's walking her bike down. Her chain is it looked kinked, but she was able to fix it and undo it. She's like, "My bike's done." And we get it mostly figured out, and they fix the bike. And I'm like, "Where are you hurt?" She's like, "I'm not hurt." I'm like, "Your bike is absolutely destroyed. Where are you hurt?" She's like, I don't think. She's like looking at her arm like, that's fine. Like there's no way your bike can be that messed up and not hurt. So she ended up getting she's got a pretty nasty bruise on her on her quad that kind of like came up like, where's this coming from? Now we know. Yeah.
She did it backwards. She sacrificed the bike instead of her body.
Yeah.
God, what a rookie.
So
You're supposed to save the bike.
Yeah. But she was having a really good. She was starting to get pretty confident, which sucks to get in a crash in your last rep right before a race. And then, so we go out to Asheville. We talked about that. It was a really fun night. But then we ate too much. So instead of staying and seeing a couple different breweries, we're like, we're feeling terrible. So race morning, we got to pack up. It takes us longer to pack up than we anticipate. So we miss our practice ride because you get 1 hour of like a practice segment in the morning. It takes us longer to pack up. We end up getting there right as it ends, and we're like, you know what? Instead of rushing and forcing it, we're just going to chill out. We both signed up for single crown. So on the top of your fork suspension, you got 1 crown. Downhill bikes typically have 2. Last year, single crown went first. And we're like, we're going to be out here by noon. We'll drive back. Probably 9 p.m. We'll be home. Well, here's what happened. The the big pro riders, they said, we'll do your race, but we want to ride in the morning. We don't want to wait around all day, which I get because I didn't want to wait around all morning. So their pro race, that had legitimate pros in it. And so we're watching the end. And some of these, like I said, most of the pros aren't even hitting this big jump at the end. The course is dry. Like some parts maybe have some moisture in it, but it has moisture, but it's like nothing soupy. Everything is like fast conditions for riding. So my whole game plan, disaster, killed me. And so we see Aaron Gwin. He goes down second, and this guy is just a legend, like larger than life dude from Southern California, just super mellow, super humble about racing. And he sends this last jump, and you're like, oh, that's why he's one of the best that's ever done it. Dude, he sends this last jump, and it was so cool. The last guy to go down, I forget his name, 16 years old. Like this up-and-coming guy that came out of nowhere last year and is now on the pro circuit, beats like his idol, his hero, by 2 seconds. And I'm like, what? Can you imagine being 16 years old and for your whole life, that all that you can remember, you've probably watched this guy dominate the sport, and now at 16 years old, you race against him and beat him?
That's crazy.
Dude, it was a really cool. Even like I said, the pro women had some big names. Like it was cool. The chick's name is Miranda Miller. Anyway, if you watch the show, now you'll know. But so that was really cool. The problem is, it's the biggest race that Downhill Southeast has ever hosted. So typically, when everything is done by 2 p.m., we had over 420 riders.
Oh my God!
Single Crown, they moved, instead of first races to go, dead last. So my drop-in time, which they stayed on time, was at like 4:03 and 30 seconds. I had to wait till 4 p.m. to drop in. And Erica was maybe 20 minutes ahead of me. So she didn't get a practice ride. She did 6 out of 10, which I thought was pretty good.
What do you mean 6 out of 10?
So there's 10 women in the open.
Okay.
So Single Crown
plays
is
6. Gotcha.
Yeah, she plays 6. Single Crown is like an open thing, so there's not for women. So of those 10 riders, she got 6th. It was an awesome ride for her. I had 33 people in my bracket.
Would you get 35?
Here's the thing. Like,
that would have been me. I would have been 35.
I had a conservative mindset coming in. That didn't help me. And I fell in my race run.
Oh, no.
Dude.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Fell in my race run. So there's one section of like this loamy dirt. Like the dirt was distinctly different. And there was like little stumps that were coming up. They reminded me of cypress elbows, but they weren't cypress elbows.
Yeah.
And so the whole time Erica's like, take the low line. It's way easier. Well, the first time I went, I took the low line and I hated it. So I was like, no, I'm going to take a high line. I'm going to take the high line. So I'm taking the high line. It's like this. You're going straight, but the trail's off cambered. So you're kind of like turning right just to stay straight type of thing. And I hit a root and I just slid out. And my racing uniform was those jorts and our B3 jersey. Yeah. Well, I forgot to put my phone in the car, so I was just rocking the race with my phone in the back pocket. It's not zippered. So we're super late. And we know we're going to be home at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So as soon as I'm done with the race, I'm like, hey, I fell. That sucked. I'm disappointed, but super happy. Like the overall experience was amazing. Like everything just went so well. Even with the falls, we didn't get hurt. The bike was able to be fixed. We had a good time. Like everything ended up being so cool. I get to the car. I'm like, real quick, let's change, get out of here. You know, Saturday there was like a creek, Ride Rock Creek. Well, we jumped in Rock Creek to just like get in there. That was like our shower as we drove home. I was going to do that again. So I go to grab my phone, Gonzo.
Oh, no.
It's a mile long trail, and I'm pretty sure where I fell is where the phone's at. Well, the race, you have to ride from the parking lot up a hill to the bottom of the racetrack, and then you have to catch a ride to the top. So I'm now riding up. I'm waiting for a shuttle. The shuttle takes their time. I go up. Erica's walking from the bottom to the top. The race is over. I go from the top. I'm going down, and I'm like riding super slow. I meet Erica, so we walk down together to the place where I fell. We can't find the phone. We end up looking for like 30, 45 minutes. Finally get down to the bottom, and I found one of the workers, and I'm like, "You working?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm done working. The race is over." I was like, "I'm just trying to look for my phone." He's like, "Oh, we found your phone. It's sitting on my desk, like by this front porch thing and the sound system."
It's like, hey man, you probably shouldn't ride with that anymore. Like,
yeah, like did you have it secured somewhere? Like, no, I had it in my back pocket, and you can see that I'm wearing jorts. Like, I'm an idiot. Okay, like get over it. I'm better at drinking beer than I am at riding bikes. Leave me alone. And like I already knew it was gonna be a long drive home that late in the day.
sounds terrible.
And then you just it reminded me when we couldn't find in the trailer. Well, yeah, we didn't have the pin.
We stopped at like, a bunch of different stores to get like pins, and then
that's what it felt like.
we carabinered it home.
Carabinered it home, dude. No, those carabiners are money, dude.
Bro, it works.
That's the best. So what I found out is when I was riding down the trail very slowly, things started opening up to me. And I'm like, oh, I could have done this here. There's a lot of times where the trail went, and then it was like a real steep drop, and then it'd come right back up. And again, I was very conservative. I thought it was going to be wet, but no, looking at it now, like things started popping. Like I could have just bunny hopped that little section, and I could have carried my speed. I would have made it to the other side of that hill. And there was like 3 times I could have done that because I never like did a trail walk. Like that didn't even cross my mind until I rode it slow. So looking into our next race, we're going to make sure that we walk the trail once, even if it means we get less riding time. Just seeing the trail from a different aspect is super important.
And in hindsight, your first 3 rides you did absolutely nothing for you guys.
Yeah, really, they didn't. So I got 27th out of 33 with a fall.
Good for you.
And super conservative. I didn't get hurt. I want to break the top 10 really bad. And Erica realizes that she has the ability to break the top 5.
Really good shot at it, yeah.
Top 5 is an award.
So now how does that run through the series though? Like can someone else, there can be 30 girls at the next race, right?
Yeah, 100%. Typically women don't have the turnout that men do. But to your point, that was the second race of this year for Downhill Southeast.
So it's a point system?
Yes.
You guys rode the first one. No?
No, that was a month ago in Tennessee.
So she's standing 6 out of 10?
Just for that
one
race.
Okay.
Just for that
so
race.
That's
but the men single crown for the first race had 8 competitors. So I would have gotten top 10, dude. I would have gotten top 10. I would have crushed it. I would have got my goal.
You're talking
for a single race.
For a single race, top 5 get a prize.
Yeah.
Okay, not series-wise.
No.
What is she standing in the series? And I'm talking about her because she's actually being competitive.
She's actually, I don't know. Like we're only doing that one race for them this year. We might do another one, but you get points per race. So even if she places, someone that gets a lower place but more times gets more points overall.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm curious as to what she is in the series.
I don't know.
How many girls rode the first one?
It seemed like the girls that did it in her bracket were kind of like a group, maybe not a riding team, but
Like
They all seem
they
to-
travel around.
Yeah, they all
Yeah.
seem to know each other and seemed like they did the races. Oh, one of the girls in her bracket, Morgan, was a girl that worked at Adrenaline. So I'm walking around. I'm like, "Hey, you used to work for Adrenaline?"
The dark-haired girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah." Or I was like, "You work at Adrenaline?" She's like, "I moved up here now."
Of course you did.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I wish I could also live up here, but her and then her fiance was in my group, so it was kind of cool. We talked to them for a little bit. They seem to be loving it, shockingly.
So jelly.
Wow, dude, this Happy Dad's good. I just popped this open.
So good.
So good, and it's like a dude drink.
Yeah.
I like it. The drive back we did ended up being like a long drive, but we were just kind of buzzing with the whole weekend. It was an amazing trip. It didn't go exactly as planned. We wish, looking back, I was like, yeah, we wish we would have stayed out later in Asheville and gotten to experience more things, but it sucks that the meal that we ate was so good. Like, we were just crushing it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of one of those things that everything just seemed to kind of fall in place. It was fun. The race didn't go as well as I wanted to, but and almost like it didn't really matter. Like the weekend itself was amazing.
Well, hopefully during our trip you can kind of guide us around, because I know like I'm gonna want to ride a lot,
yeah.
and hopefully you can reel it in and be like, hey, we need to go check out a couple places, and then I know some people are gonna be like, we need to stay at some places. Be like, no, but we got to ride in the morning.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a fine balance in a large group.
yeah, and that Black Mountain ride, I told Erica last night, I was like, I'm so jealous because you're gonna have the ability on your e-bike to ride up, go down lower, like you'll be able to do laps and then come back up. I was like, he's gonna be able to ride that lower black downhill portion 2 or 3 times and still catch up to us as we're climbing up, 7-8 miles.
It's a 7-mile climb.
Yeah. And the last bit is so steep that you have to hike a bike.
The guys are not gonna.
Yeah.
They're not listening.
They're not listening,
Our friends
yeah.
don't listen. They're not gonna be happy.
Devitt, he listens. Thanks, buddy.
They are not gonna be happy.
Well, it's that's right now planning on day 1. So 7 miles? Dude, that's going to take 2.5 hours.
Day 1 after the drive.
Yes. That's the only time that we plan
We still
on.
plan on going up Thursday. I don't think we can.
No, I think
Yeah.
probably just Friday morning.
Friday early morning.
Yes. So we get to Black Mountain, 2.5 hour climb. Let's call it an hour downhill. So if we start at 2, which is reasonable, maybe 2:30, 5, we're down at 6.
If
Then
we leave at 6.
yeah. Well, we got to eat and stops and stuff like that. So if we leave at 4, we should be good. I'm not taking the
Riding by
trailer. So,
2.
yeah. I think that's what we got to do is like, hey, we are meeting here and starting a ride at 2 p.m. If you're not there, then no big deal. Here are other trails. You can do the lower Black Trail. Like, that's fine. But last time it was kind of
You
like
at the cabin.
yeah, and you got the cabin. Because last year we did the trip. We got there super early. We thought other people were going to be excited.
Have your bikes ready.
Have your
That's the big
bikes
thing.
ready.
I don't think we talked about that trip yet.
We haven't, no.
We
So
should.
Yeah, we definitely need to. But I think learning from that, hey, let's start that race or that ride at this time, give someone a goal. Because we were there, dude, we didn't take any breaks.
No, we parked.
We siphoned
Took
gas on the freeway from tankers. Like, we were ready to go. And the other group was like, yeah, we went to Walmart, and then we ate after that, and then we stopped at a Target,
Yeah.
went to Bed Bath & Beyond. We're like, what are you guys doing?
We parked, got our bikes off, we were ready to ride.
Yeah.
They showed up super late. Then wanted to do things, had to
we
fix a
need-
bike.
Yeah, we need to pump our tires up. And didn't someone need to, like, get a new tube or something?
The tire wouldn't hold air. Speaking of, I got my bike all Got my bike back from Adrenaline. Got the upgraded parts.
Okay.
The coil, I guess, came in. I have to get it put on yet. Haven't gotten it put on. But it's I'm so excited. It's ready to go. I will change the brake pads out before we go, though.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna change my brake pads out. They were pretty loose.
Because they didn't change them out. They just they kind of resurfaced the rotors, and it's stopping better. But I want to put different pads on it.
Yeah, your brakes were super loose.
I had to add another wipeout on it.
Really? Do tell.
Which brings me to the confidence portion, because I haven't been riding, and I'm really worried about my confidence when we get up there. However, I was just in the yard. I was on my flip-flops, and I was like, let me take it for a ride. I put it in boost.
Oh, my gosh.
Went for a ride around the block, and as I'm coming to my house, there's like a little dip in front of my house onto the sidewalk, and then a jump. Like, you can jump the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I'm like, send it. 23 miles an hour. I go into it. I don't hit it straight on. I hit it at an angle, and I pull so hard because I want to go. I pull it so hard, and the bike just goes like this.
Oh, just sideways?
Oh, sideways. And I land face first into the dirt. My handlebars completely twisted. It knocked off like my bike has like these rubber pads on them on the down tube to stop the Fox 38 Flex fork from going into it.
Just big time in there right there, huh?
So it stops that, and so I ripped one of those off. I got to get a new one of those.
Oh.
My pedals cut my legs up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a mess.
The old neighborhood crash, huh?
Yeah. so stupid.
Did any of your neighbors see it? Like,
No,
what are you doing?
No, I was in front of my son, so he thinks less of me now.
Act like an adult, please.
And we'll just leave it at that.
There is one spot on my bike I'm a little bit worried that it looks like a bit of a divot in my right next to the chain or the chain ring. So I got to take it to Adrenaline and be like, hey, is this structural? Do I need to be worried about this, or is this just a little guy that I don't need to be worried about? So,
so Erica's bike held up really well, huh?
Oh, she loved it. Yeah, that was
with the exception of the sheared off dropper post.
Yeah, but no, it was just a screw. They worked it right back in. She was saying the whole time, oh, these trails feel easier. I'm like,
I was going to ask if she said anything about would she have been able to do it on her. I mean, she would have been able to do it, but
she would have been able to do it, but it's smoother. It handles things so much better. I mean, her other bike is going to be faster and better for cross country, so climbing and things like that. But leaning into turns and really getting the most out of downhill, it was far better. She thought that some neighbors are having some issues. Kids, not neighbors. So she was like, this course is so much easier than Windrock just 1 year ago. I'm like, it really isn't that much easier. Like some of the turns, like there are some S turns that you're dropping in, can get, I don't want to say techie, but to do them fast, you got to be confident. And she was crushing those. So that was cool I don't think she understood how far she's come in a year, and the bike definitely helps. But
it looks so good. The bike just sitting right over there. It looks really good.
Yeah, her confidence is and riding abilities has come a long way. So that was fun. But Ride Rock Creek, the whole mountain was open except for the race courses. So we got to do a couple of the other runs. Their green run is not very difficult unless you're going fast, and then it obviously pushes you to the limit. But lots of berms, like you can really like slash the berms.
That's our day 2?
That's our day 2. That's our big all day one, and then the last one is Canoga, which is a climb up. But Ride Rock Creek is the shuttle up one, and I'm telling you, it was a blast. the race course and the green run are everyone's gonna love it.
Hopefully you have good weather.
Yeah, if it's not good weather, I don't know.
We'll improvise. Find ourselves in the woods or something.
Yeah. And maybe just do Black Mountain again because that was you can probably afford to go a little bit slower, where a bike park you're gonna be just going faster just naturally. But it made me so excited about our trip next month, and it made Erica really jealous that I get to go back in a month. So she's like, I hate you right now. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, sorry. I'm super excited.
But I think that's it. Sounds like a good
mostly,
trip.
Yeah, it's just mostly me talking
I'm glad
about the trip, but yeah.
I'm glad you're okay. The first thing I said to you was, when I saw you, I was like, I'm glad you're in one piece. And then you pointed at your face. And
I was like, yeah, I don't know. My face still hurts, but that's all right. Yeah, and I think my bike should be okay. So I didn't break my bike too bad either.
Well, let's test it out either this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah.
We're spending the whole next week and a half together, basically.
What do you mean?
Well, we have this weekend, we can ride. Next week, we're occupied in a class.
Oh, yeah, we are. Gosh, I forgot about that.
And then we have that next weekend, so, like...
Perfect. Yes.
We can make stuff happen.
Yeah, we're gonna send it. Nice. All right. We don't got anything else, then
I don't think so.
Get out there, ride. The trail should be much better now that we got some rain and things are going to be soaked in, and we'll be better about putting these out. So we'll see you next week.
Enjoy it.
All right. Thanks for listening.